In this training, I'm going to show you 2 mental imagery exercises that you can do to better handle competition pressure. Let's begin by talking about what actually is mental imagery. Mental imagery is also known as visualization and mental rehearsal. So in this training and also just in general, you hear me and other people kind of use the terms interchangeably. It's simply the process of going through a scene or a scenario in your mind. It's a pretty simple practice in all reality, right? All you're doing is imagining something, but it is so very powerful. The reason that mental imagery works is because of one word: memory. Right now, when you think about your sport, you're thinking about moments when you feel pressure. You perform under pressure. There's a certain memory there that associates this situation where I feel pressure and how I perform. If in the past you've been, quote unquote, a choking player, that means that right now you probably associate the memory of choking, right, messing up, failing, with performing under pressure. If you carry that with you moving forward, what's going to happen? When you get into those moments where you begin to feel pressure, your mind is immediately going to remember a situation that's similar, aka the situation where you choked. When we're working with mental imagery, we are working on building memory and changing the association you have between a memory and a situation. This isn't quick, right? It's a simple practice, but the actual change is not quick. It's not going to happen overnight, but consistently you can reframe your association between situations where I perform under pressure and how I actually feel and how I actually perform, what the outcome is going to be. But it all is based on memory. You're building the memory of success. When you have confidence in your sport, where does that confidence come from? Let's say that you had 6 really good games in a row. Going into the 7th, you're probably feeling pretty confident. Why? Because of the memory of success in those previous 6 games. When it comes to performing under pressure, if you doubt yourself, why do you doubt yourself? The memory is of you failing. We want to build memory of you succeeding, and that's going to help you perform better under pressure. Now, when we're making imagery real, there are 2 key things that you need to think about. There are 2 key elements to this process of visualization. One is going to be seeing. You really need to create this scene and make it very detailed. The key thing to remember is that you're trying to make it real to your mind. Your eyes aren't open and seeing the situation, but when you close your eyes, you want to make it as real as possible. This means details. This means seeing your teammates, seeing the crowd. What's the court look like? What's the stadium look like, right? What's the grass look like? Who's there? What's going on? Seeing everything that's happening. And then number 2, emotions. When we're working to change the way that you associate how you perform in pressure-filled situations, number 1, you're going to have to feel the emotions of the normal anxiety and fear and doubt that you have. Then you want to feel the emotions of confidence. Then you want to feel the emotions of success. The second technique I'm going to talk about is about relaxation. You want to feel the emotions of relaxation. So the 2 key elements to mental imagery are seeing and emotions. Now, before we get into the actual imagery techniques you're going to use, I think it's important to talk about where pressure originates. Back when I was in college, I had a coach. He was our assistant coach, and he used to always say that pressure isn't real. I used to be so pissed when I heard him say that because I was like, dude, if you knew the terror that came over me when there's bases loaded, 2 outs, bottom of the 8th inning, right? Game's tied. Oh my God, I was shaking. Tell me pressure's not real. I was feeling it so much in that moment. But what he was getting at, and what I've understood now in my professional life and working with athletes, is that pressure comes from within. Pressure comes from our interpretation of a situation, of the environment. Pressure is not real in the sense that it is not tangible. Pressure is created in our minds. So when we see pressure as something outside of ourselves, we can't do anything to change it. But the important thing is when you realize that pressure, the way that you react in these quote unquote pressure-filled moments, comes from within, that is great news because then it gives you the power and you the control to change how you respond and how you act in those pressure-filled situations. Now let's get into the 2 techniques that you can use to better perform under pressure. Technique number 1 is to reframe your self-perception. Earlier in the training, I was talking about how there is this memory you have that associates how you perform in a pressure-filled situation And that's going to lead to you saying, when I'm in this pressure-filled situation, I doubt myself because in the past I performed this way. That is your self-perception. That's how you see yourself as an athlete in relation to this situation. What we want to do is alter that. We alter that by making use of the idea of memory and making use of the process of repetition. What you want to do is step number 1, find yourself a quiet location free from any distractions. The first couple steps are going to be the same for both of these. Then you want to get into a comfortable position with your back straight, either sitting in a chair or sitting on the ground. The only reason I try not to get people to lay on a couch or lay on a bed, for example, is I find it a little bit more difficult to see clearly. But if you're more comfortable and you can get more relaxed that way and you can visualize clearly, by all means, do it. Step 3 is you want to breathe to get yourself relaxed. I recommend taking 5 to 10 deep breaths, right? Relax your whole body, relax your mind, relax into your breath. Just think about making your mind clear. Now it's time to actually get into this visualization. So you want to create your image. You want to see yourself in that pressure-filled situation. This is going to be different for everybody. If you're a baseball player, you can use the example I just gave where you're going up to bat. It's the 8th inning, bases loaded, game's tied, 2 outs. If you're a pitcher, something similar. If you're a tennis player, maybe you're visualizing yourself down in the match. You've just faulted on your first serve. Soccer player, maybe time's running out and you're having to do a penalty kick. You know what is pressure for you. So imagine that pressure-filled situation. Then step number 5 is to generate your optimal state. So once you've created this image and you've gone into detail, I want you to feel how you normally feel in that situation. This seems a little odd, but the important thing is you're going to be switching it. So first, if you doubt yourself normally, feel a lot of self-doubt. If you normally feel really anxious in that moment, feel really anxious. Force yourself to feel anxious. Then, once you're in that situation, you're feeling your normal feelings, I want you to generate your optimal emotional state. How do you want to feel going into that moment? Do you want to feel confident? Do you perform your best when you're really focused? Do you perform your best when you're relaxed? Get into your optimal emotional state. Then, see yourself perform. Keep that state, feel that state, see yourself perform successfully. Then once you're finished, another key is at that moment, feel successful. And that's it. Keep doing that process. Repeat it. You can repeat it a couple different times. But that right there is the key mental imagery exercise that you want to do to work on reframing your self-perception. And then technique number 2 is relaxing in the moment. This one helps because whenever you're feeling pressure, if you're feeling anxious in that moment, you want to get yourself relaxed. And technique number 2 is actually more for an immediate reprieve and immediate help, while technique number 1 is going to help you over the long term to reframe your self-perception in terms of pressure. So with this one, the first 3 steps are the same. Get yourself into a quiet location, get into that comfortable position, and then breathe to get yourself relaxed. Now here's where things start to change. You now want to imagine a situation where you feel the most relaxed and at peace. For me, I would say this is going to be walking on the beach with my dog, throwing the ball for him. For you, maybe it's watching TV. Maybe it's spending time with your girlfriend or boyfriend. Maybe it is spending time with your family, your friends, going for a walk in nature. Whatever it is, you know when you're the most relaxed and when you're the most at peace. All you have to do for this visualization, this formal visualization, is imagine that scene. Feel relaxed. Feel at peace. Breathe into that feeling of relaxation. Then you're finished. For step 5, what you're going to do is when you find yourself in a pressure-filled situation. So when you find yourself stepping up to the free throw line with the game tied and 10 seconds left, you're feeling very nervous, very anxious, very fearful. You're not going to close your eyes, but you're simply going to imagine, bring that scene back into your mind where you're the most relaxed. What's going to happen the more you visualize this scene formally, right, going through the first 4 steps, is that in that situation, that pressure-filled environment, imagining that scene is going to associate in your mind feelings of relaxation and feelings of peace and calmness, and that's going to come over you. It's going to help you relax in that situation. With these 2 techniques, the key is repetition. On a daily basis, if right now you're really struggling with pressure and you want to get better at performing under pressure, I encourage you to practice these 2 techniques at least once a day. The more you practice them, the more the memory is going to be built, the more that association is going to be made, and the more impact they're going to have directly on your ability to perform under pressure. I hope you enjoyed this training. If you did, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I put out 2 new trainings each week on sports psychology and mental training to help you build a championship mindset. Speaking of a championship mindset, in the description below, I've put a link to a free training I've created that takes you through an exercise where you will create and craft your own championship mindset. This shows you what exactly is that optimal emotional state, your peak performance mindset you need to perform your best on a consistent basis. So go ahead and click that free training and watch it for yourself. Thank you for watching, and I wish you the best of success in all that you do.